I'd like you to imagine something for me for a minute. Pretend you're walking down a path, sometime in humanity's distant past, long before we invented labubus and microplastics, and you're out hunting and gathering, maybe peeking on some shrooms your local shaman gave you, and the next thing you know, a tiger decides you're looking like the pre-heuristic version of a $5 meal deal, and you have to make a choice. Do you square up with the dollar store spear you've been carrying around, or do you get to book in like your Usain Bolt's ancestor? You better decide, and you better decide fast. This is what a survival horror game is. The simulation of being faced with an overwhelming threat, needing to decide, do you fight or do you run? Come here! It's the same thing whether it's Pyramid Head smashing his way through a wall, the hunter crawling out of some vent, or Nemesis pulling up with a rocket launcher.
Rocket launcher!
This is why these games are so popular. It used to be our reality. You could probably walk up to any rando on the street and say the words Resident Evil, Silent Hill, or Dead Space. There's a pretty strong chance you get some sort of reaction out of them. Entire filmographies, fandoms, and YouTube careers have been built on the foundations these games have laid. And even now, people aren't innovating and add their own twist onto the formula. But as with any insanely popular genre, the space is typically defined by a few massive players. You can see in other spaces like with the big three of shonen anime, or Call of Duty and Battlefield for FPSs. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with this, but I believe it leads to some lesser known games to fall off people's radars and not get the attention they deserve. And so, I like to bring your attention to a bit of a hidden gem, the 2014 title, The Evil Within. You enter the shoes of Detective Sebastian Castellanos, responding to a call at Beacon Mental Hospital with partner Joseph Oda and rookie detective Julie Kidman. Upon arriving, the lobby of the hospital looks like the aftermath to an iPad kid getting their device taken away. Investigating further, Sebastian and Joseph come across a security room with a stunned doctor and some security cams. Upon checking the cams, you see Freddy getting freaky. Wait, shit, wrong game. You see 3 cops getting sliced up before getting trick stabbed by the trench coat wearing burn victim. From here on out, you are inside the mind of Ruben Victoriano, better known as Rubik, the disturbed mastermind responsible for this hellscape you find yourself in.
Hi.
Sebastian wakes to find himself trapped in the lair of the sadist, this game's value-bin version of Leatherface. You have to sneak out past to escape, as attempting to fight him with a knife you found in your leg is not advised.
They with the rat pack. Hit them with the chopper, that's the rat trap. Find them in that trash bag off the interstate.
After some time playing cat and mouse with the new foe, the chase culminates in Sebastian limping his way out past Jigsaw's wet dream, a slide that's definitely not up to HOA standards. However, your daring escape is merely the beginning of the nightmare. Littered across twisted versions of country villages, opulent mansions, underground laboratories, and areas straight out of Berserk, are monsters waiting to tear you to shreds. The people you find have been transformed into the haunted. Zombie-like husks of themselves wrapped in barbed wire and chains, clad in the tatters of their former lives, and sporting weapons from knives to guns to kill you. Malicious traps aren't just everywhere, they're a very part of the landscape you have to navigate. And on top of all this, horrid amalgamations lie in wait for your arrival at every turn, eager to feast on your blood.
Nom, 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 nom.
Against all this, you face the gauntlet of horrors alone, using stealth, your wits, and scraps of weaponry you find to fight your way through. And all the while, Sebastian tanks all of this with about as much emotion as a Roman statue.
Light work, no reaction.
Okay, it's got a little kick. Oh. Okay.
Your only respite is an otherworldly mental hospital, which acts as your safe room and upgrade hub for the entire game. It comes complete with a yandere nurse and a cock and ball torture chair. The chair is how you upgrade your stats, weapons, and ammo capacity by injecting green glowstick juice directly into your veins. You can access it through shattered meters scattered throughout the world, with its piano tune playing softly whenever you approach. As you play, you find the entire game steeped in this dirty, anguished atmosphere that makes you feel like you're truly wandering through the mind of a deeply unwell person. You are forced to commit acts of cruelty on others just to progress. The same things Ruvik did in his research into the human brain. The mental miasma even seeps into our characters on more than one occasion, with Joseph nearly succumbing to thoughts that I can't say the name of, are synonymous with a certain Japanese forest, and Castellanos even turning into the Haunted briefly before Kidman shoots him to slow him down. You could even say the evil really got within our characters. Alright, I'll go fucking shoot myself now. Anyway, the game encapsulated that feeling of mental pain in a way that I haven't really seen elsewhere. If you've ever gone through a mental low point, whether it may be depression, anxiety, trauma, these places may even seem familiar to how it felt going through that period. The entire world feeling hostile against you. The motif of barbed wire stretching across brains captures the pain of a mind racked with stress, just trying to get through the day. The monsters and the fight against them embodies the form these afflictions may take in our heads, and the struggle that it is to deal with them. The hordes of the haunted can be likened to the innumerable extra challenges that come up in daily life when dealing with a mental health condition. Now, am I going to be a pretentious video game essayist and say this entire game is one big mental health metaphor?
No.
At the end of the day, this is a romp through some fairly standard survival horror set pieces, albeit a romp with very well thought out environments, atmosphere, and enemy designs. Mechanically, the game is very similar to any Resident Evil or Silent Hill you may play. To survive, you have to play smart, rationing ammunition and supplies for only when you need them most. You can pistol whip the zombies, but you might as well be giving them a loving caress with how much damage you'll do to them. The weapons you find do improve and get more ammo as the number and difficulty enemies increases, however.
She was a fairy.
They're all pretty standard weaponry you'd get, save for one, which is my personal favorite, the Agony Crossbow. This bad boy allows you to use different bolts ranging from harpoon to explosive, flashbang, freeze, and shock. Additionally, there are some light puzzle elements, from being a junior electrician to a medieval torturer and also giving out free lobotomies. This similarity shouldn't be surprising, as this game was directed by Shinji Mikami, who also directed Resident Evil 1 and 4, and was a producer for Resident Evil 2 and 3. So overall, it's a good old time of zombie and abomination blasting fun. All the boss fights are pretty scary and stressful in a good way, and some of the most memorable ones for me are Laura, the Keeper, and the Amalgam Alpha fight. First up is Laura. Laura is Ruvik's sister reincarnated as a spindly cross between the Grudge and the Spider from Enemy, and I hate everything about her. I hate the way that she moves like a spider, moving slow, then randomly speeding up. I hate the way she can appear of any dead body, like a twist on the chest burster. I hate the sound design that plays whenever she's around, like she's breathing down my neck. And lastly, she's pretty much immune to bullets. A buckshot to the face, no damage.
Don't care.
A foot-long metal rod into her eye, no damage.
Don't care.
Explosive bolt stuck directly into her, no damage.
Still don't care.
The only way to reliably damage her is using fire. The reason fire only damages her is in Ruvik's past, Laura died from a barn fire started from disgruntled farmers that worked for the Victoriano family. They set the barn on fire, not aware or not caring that the kids were inside. Laura received horrific burns from this and died in a vegetative state not long after. Hence the fire motif with her. But not like I care about any of that. Flamethrower against scary spider lady still goes burr. Now onto the Keeper. The Keeper is this game's love letter to Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2. Both are buff-ass dudes wielding oversized butcher's tools and got their heads stuck in metal contraptions like a stepsister of a washing machine. The first main fight with them starts where you get trapped inside this chamber after a strange mental patient you've been chasing runs away. Then Homeboy is going to appear from these safes littered about the area and try to box you as poison gas fills the chamber. You have to make sure to kill him before trying to turn off the gas valves, otherwise he is going to rock your shit.
Better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet, nigga.
The fight isn't that hard if you know what you're doing, but it's always stuck with me ever since I played it with the dual pressure of the gas and the Keeper constantly respawning. Now, you might be wondering why Bro has a wall safe on his head, and that's because he represents Ruvik's burning need to keep both his past and research hidden. The only thing Ruvik has a hard on for more than his sister is his research. Last up is the Amalgam, and before I even start, I just want to say to whoever designed this instant kill move, count your fucking days. The Amalgam pulls up fairly late in the game where Sebastian and his doctor are getting close to escaping the nightmare they find themselves in, and Ruvik notices and sends in the Amalgam to stop them. The doctor, upon seeing the Amalgam, begins to lose it and allows it to crush him.
He wants out!
After a short chase sequence, it shoulder checks Sebastian into this parking garage where the fight begins. Now, I'm a big fan of this fight for how aggressive this thing is. It's constantly charging at you, knocking cars around, and shrugs off everything you throw at it. The only respite you get are these two rooms at the end of the parking garage where it can't reach you. Yet. Because it will stick its hand in and snatch you up like the last Pringle and put you through a foot of solid concrete. After getting its health low enough, it will put out this purple aura and charge at you. And if you don't shoot the eye into its mouth in time, well, you get to find out what it's like being a McToddler for a pit bull. Also, I just know the person who designed this death animation is into Vor. I just can't prove it. There isn't too much lore behind the Amalgam, other than it being the combined consciousness of all the people who have died in this nightmare, and that's okay. Sometimes a big scary monster doesn't need a sob story behind it. It can just be a big scary monster. Now, when it comes to fighting the big R-Man himself, I think this is where the game drops the ball a little bit. It shows up after fighting through a last wave of zombies in a fight with two Keepers, very reminiscent of the Silent Hill 2 final fight with Pyramid Head. And when Ruvik actually shows up, it boils down to a shooter on rails section, fighting off his tentacles from being stuck in your bumhole. And it kind of reminds me of the House of the Dead games, if you ever played those back in this day, in some sticky, smelly, kid snot infested arcade. After damaging the tentacles enough, Sebastian gets kebabbed on this spike, and in some Disney Star Wars level of plot convenience, a dead sadist with a rocket launcher shows up. After you blow the creature's brains out, he comes in for one last attack where a final revolver bullet to the head puts him down for good. It's not a horrible final fight, it's just a little disappointing it's completely scripted. I think it would have been cooler if you had to fight Ruvik one-on-one in an actual arena or something, but I'm nitpicking here. But as much praise as I do have for this game, it certainly does have its flaws. I think it's a little ridiculous that a police detective has the stamina of an obese asthmatic and has to take 10 whole seconds to catch his breath after running too long. Navigating the menus with mouse and keyboard didn't always feel friendly, as I think the game was originally designed for console, and I straight up couldn't scroll on the notes you find around the game to read them for the lore. There's weird lighting issues with certain areas, where they would just turn into RGB discos for no apparent reason. The Steam version of the game apparently misses some features, like a first-person mode that's present in the Epic Games and the Xbox Store version, so if you do buy the game, be aware of that. Also, the game might be too easy for those looking for a challenge, as you only get 2 difficulty modes when starting the game, casual and survival. The 2 other modes, the more difficult Nightmare and the instant death Akumu, are locked behind you finishing the games the first time around. I don't really understand why this was done, as the game doesn't have a lot of replay value, but whatever. Lastly, sometimes mechanics of certain encounters aren't super well communicated. With the Amalgam instant kill move, a lot of the time the eye just seemed like it wasn't there at all, so you're just screwed, or you had to have Neo-like reflexes to shoot it in time. Also, in this section where you have to drop bodies into the water to avoid getting eaten by some fish monster, which this idea is fine in concept, but sometimes the monsters just didn't care and still came after you even after dropping the bodies in the water, which is annoying. But these problems are more blemishes on a solidly designed game, showing its age and suffering from some porting issues, than any true design flaw. As for how scary the game is, it isn't that scary if you're used to playing horror games, although it succeeds in creating some genuinely unsettling monster designs and creepy atmosphere. There are a few good scares in the game. What the Especially one portion where you're running around Ruvik's mansion and he will appear on a timer to chase you around for a bit. And it is terrifying when this man flash steps towards you. Oh! But you don't really have to worry about over-reliance on the jump scares to try to make the game scary. It does surprise me that the series didn't make more of a splash than it did when it came out. While its story and premise are nothing groundbreaking, I do think it differentiates itself enough in theme and atmosphere from its survival horror brethren. I didn't really talk about the story too much in this video as it can get a little convoluted, but if there is interest in it, I can make a video on that too. But as with the other big hitters like Resident Evil, that focuses more on the fear of biological weapons and what can occur when they get into the wrong hands. While Silent Hill is much more a story about trauma, abuse, and guilt, Dead Space veers a lot more into cosmic horror, with the overwhelming sense of smallness against the Brethren Moons. Yeah, if I ever wake up in the Dead Space universe, just incinerate me, dog. Give me the Terminator treatment. I'm not trying to deal with a damn necromorph outbreak after already waking up at 5 AM for my day job. But in comparison to the others, The Evil Within focuses much more on the feeling of being mentally unwell and shoving that into the box as survival horror. And I think that vision is fairly unique in the third-person shooter genre, and it's executed in a fun and competent way. Now, do I think The Evil Within should be as prolific as the other games I mentioned? Probably not. But do I think it at least deserves a seat at the table whenever classic-style survival horror games are discussed? Absolutely. That's all I really got for now. I just wanted to put together a quicker long-form video to get something out on that front, since it's been a while since I did anything and wanted to do it while the game's still fresh in my mind. So if you're any kind of survival horror fan, do yourself a favor and pick this up for yourself while it's dirt cheap. I can guarantee you won't regret it. Other than that, have a blessed day and peace.